the segments, and then we just map it to some common thing.
Non-item and question answering is good enough.
Totally. Can I have a follow-on question? For the interactive challenge, is it expert novice or just novice?
It's just expert.
I would also say so.
For the first year.
I mean, the other thing you have to consider at ACM Multimedia is that
Everybody's an expert. Yes.
well that
No,
but
they're an expert in something. They're not going to be an expert in that thing.
but you have a challenge session in parallel to 5 other things.
But we can make a challenge session in parallel to a welcome reception in the Guinness Storehouse if we wanted to.
No,
Yeah.
we
We
could
have
not.
control.
We cannot run this in the Guinness Storehouse.
Why not? We have control. Completely, 100%.
He's thinking about something else. But also it makes
Who is running this?
It can be a dry event.
a driver.
In the
In the Guinness Storehouse.
You're digging yourself deeper. You're a,
I have flashbacks of Bangkok when the drinks came early, you know.
We call it LRUI, lifelog retrieval under influence.
Was it Bangkok?
But
The
if we
drinks
want-
came early and,
No.
If we,
it was
Greece.
Huh?
Greece.
No,
VBS.
Bangkok.
I don't know.
Bangkok has no drinks for VBS.
Yeah, but Bangkok had no drinks in the
Dry.
banquet either. It was a dry conference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bangkok?
The drinks
Bangkok.
came afterwards.
MMM, yes. In the Irish pub.
All right, let's focus less on the drier
Yes.
and on the actual task at hand, please.
But if we want to get the community
Let me just
enthused,
check
we
very
have to do it
briefly.
as a general ACM multimedia something, right? If it's in a workshop in the Hyatt Parallel Hotel, it's the biggest room, and there's lots of other stuff happening at the same time, nobody gives a damn, it's just us.
The experts is good enough, I think.
Okay, we'll do
Yeah.
that. So now,
The
yes,
has to
okay.
be there.
I'm going to ask you the question. Put yourself in the middle of the conference next year. Okay? There is a grand challenge session. We'll be involved in a grand challenge session somehow, right? How do we enthuse people to get involved next year if we don't have a session, an actual competition?
So you're 1 year later, you mean?
I want to, this is
2026.
2026. How do we get people involved?
I think in the past the VPS community was very much interested in all the additional competitions, like also AVR4P, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the problem with the core VBS community is that it's running out of capacity. So now there's already 3 things per year, and people are kind of, oh, I don't have the time to do anything.
So not only time, you have to keep in mind that in Europe, fundings are getting cut everywhere, including the Netherlands. So travel is going to be increasingly issue. Travel money, just like. And because of sustainability and so on, some universities are limiting even how many conferences. For you probably, like Sweden kind of started. Is it Norway? But
Ireland's
Sweden-
talking about it.
Norway also cut a lot.
we could also do it offline. I mean online, virtually.
But that would kill lots of the vibe, you know. So it's,
Look,
So, Carl, you would suggest the novice session to get new people involved in the community, is that right?
excitement.
Because I would suggest that we have just the expert session, but then we also specifically have like maybe
But
a
the problem is, if
demo
it's
session?
expert sessions, we're all gonna be not taking part in it, right? That's
Yes.
the problem. We
But-
basically cut our community in half.
yeah,
Right,
but
back to
somebody
we're all
has to build the system anyways,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so they should
So
be
how do
there.
we make it easy for people to build systems? What support we give? The challenge with Tien's guys, for example, is that your guys have to work with one of the existing systems on top of it. How easy, if we want this to be big, how easy do we make it for people to take part? It's already a big data set, right? It's already difficult.
so there are 2 parts that you are talking, I think.
Lots.
You are talking, one part is how to involve new people to kind of join, and the other one is how to make it more appealing at the conference.
It's the same thing to me. If we make it appealing, we attract new people.
Yeah, so
One is a subset of the other. Because so how to get people to do it at the conference? Make the same types of tasks in the offline and in the online thing. So then all the people who built something for the I had all my algorithms run against this. Might as well bring the intermediate results and slap some basic UI on top. So all the hard work is already done. The former, I have no idea. Just make it an interesting task.
But I think if you allow novices, then it puts completely different requirements on the user interface.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
And
this
I
this
think that's one
this
of the
this makes
add-on
things so much
work
harder.
that you don't.
I can build something I can operate. I cannot necessarily if I need to build something anyone
get
can
that.
operate
Yes.
it.
Can I just show the other one? So do we? So this is another one now. Is the really point to win that, or just to have enjoyable experience for everybody? I think probably
But-
second
Well,
one
for
is more
for
important.
us in
Some people are
multimedia,
very
I think many
competitive.
people would like to try those systems. If
What?
people come there, imagine seniors from our community. They are like gonna be, oh, they wanna sit there and try, and students probably, oh, what is this thing?
No,
Like,
if
try,
if you
know, like-
if you participate to a grand challenge, people will the substantial fraction of the people who will participate to a grand challenge in the classical sense will be in it to win it, not to just have a good time.
I agree.
But if the plan of that is there is the expert session in the actual challenge session, but there is part of the demo session
Yeah.
where
Yes.
all
We can
the
do
systems
demo.
participating
Yes.
are there.
You
pseudo
could
competition.
Or like
I wouldn't even
specific
frame it
area.
necessarily as a competition. I would suggest just having a sort of an open demo where people can try out the
but
systems.
but not just like interspersed somewhere, but a specific
Yes,
area
yes,
of the
absolutely,
demo,
absolutely.
which is
Grouped
the
and
lifelog
ideally
challenge.
with the experts there to explain the systems and
But what I believe, what I think actually it's really fun also for novices that join there, colleagues, audience. You see, why this is very interesting. I think I noticed first time that kind of effect in Iceland in 2017. Jan Soborov came from NIST, and I don't think he's seen this for a while. You know, I think he was involved from early track weeks, and his task was there, and yeah. So he was really, oh my god, I think we should make all benchmarks like this, you know, like this is like Olympics, you know, like but only for nerds, you know, and it was like, no, you remember, like,
Remember,
Yeah, but no.
yes, but Trek does not
CMM.
does still not do that, right? And I mean, he's still running Trek, so he could have if he wanted to.
the reason we're still here is because SIGMM want to replicate VBS/LSE and ACM multimedia in some way. So they want that
Yes.
thing,
totally.
right? So we still have to put on that thing.
Only
And that's the
fancier,
demo session
shinier.
thing. And that's enough, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but it has to be zero stakes because
Yes, okay, fine.
because
Yeah.
if you stake anything. If say, oh, this is the proper competition at the flagship conference and yada yada yada, and then you rely on random people
No,
you've never seen. The participant with the system that performed best in the expert system, in the expert thing, who's gonna lose the competition because they got a novice that did not understand the task, they're gonna be pissed.
Okay.
So this
Keep the
is
separate
So
prices.
let's not do prizes.
Not
let's
doing the
let's do
competition,
let's
yeah.
do evaluation in terms of, look, we have clear parameters that we control as much as possible, and then we can argue this is a scientific benchmark because these are the things we can measure. And the other thing is the visibility, community service, blah 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 event that say, look, we do demo, everybody who's interested can do the
Yeah,
demo,
fine, I'm happy
can
with
join.
this.
And you can have more novices do that because you
Yes.
can just change after every task.
And we
Because
make
otherwise
it-
you wouldn't change, because if one novice has learned how to use the system, you want to keep them. But
We make it
there
interesting
doesn't
by
matter.
having a prize for every round for the best novice. Simple, right?
Yeah, something simple.
This query,
Candy.
hey,
Yeah, piece of
congratulations,
candy.
you get an
Piece
Easter
of
egg.
candy.
Congratulations, you
Yeah.
get
Piece of candy. Piece of
Yeah,
candy.
yeah.
That's it.
Ali's
Copy.
painting.
Genius.
Small.
No.
Small
Yeah.
small whiskey
Yes.
whiskey bottle.
Yes,
Something
exactly.
like this.
Or a bottle of whiskey every round.
No,
Whatever,
yeah,
doesn't
but
matter.
Yeah,
just
just yeah.
What's the budget of this? A bottle of whiskey every round?
Unlimited. No, our aim here, right, is to get
small,
people
yeah.
enthused.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It's
Totally.
Right.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally.
at the right part of the conference. It exists where everybody is gonna be.
So
Right,
you know
right.
what you can do? I did it for my students. for
Welcome
something,
reception,
whatever.
doesn't matter, something
You buy
like
a
that.
bottle of wine and you buy chocolates, and then you ask them. You know, somebody doesn't drink. Somebody like, hey guys, the first one can choose. You know, like Moldovan wine, Georgian wine, or Italian. Plus there are chocolates. You know, you choose what you want. So somebody
Yeah.
picks.
Yeah, right.
And then hopefully by the next year, we have more people in to take part.
So one thing you could do is if you start with a preparation session where people just practice.
Yeah.
Then this happens. You could even do the novice session at the welcome reception. After that, there's the competition.
Yeah, fine.
By that time, you will, that gives you pressure to debug things. You have some practice. You get to see some types of tasks. You have to create more tasks. That's the disadvantage, but otherwise you could recycle them.
Yeah.
But that might bring people, if they have seen this at the reception, to come.
Yes. And the following year, the data set remains the same for the second year, and maybe we provide some baseline retrieval system that people can use via an API to make it easier. By the way, want to do this yourself? There's an API.
There's systems out there, right?
Yeah.
There's at least half a dozen things that have been participating in VBS/LSC that you can get from GitHub if anyone would ever bother to look at them.
To make it easier, basically you would give them like a prepared data set for that system so that this is ready to use.
Yeah, it should be made as easy as possible. Okay, have we decided?
Not sure.
Not
I
sure
personally-
about
I
the exact logistics.
Would
of this.
rather do expert session and then let
Expert
everybody
then.
try.
Yes.
So why don't we do the expert session in the
This is also
workshop?
possible.
Yeah.
Right? Expert session takes place in a workshop, right?
Wait a second, you talk workshop, grand challenge and hackathon.
Yeah, we're doing. The way to get this. Look, we're in charge. The way to get this to work is we make it do it.
But the grand challenge can be a competition with the experts. And then
No, the grand challenge has got to be the asynchronous and the synchronous.
We were still
Associated
talking
with the
about the
workshop, right?
synchronous.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
That's fine.
the grand challenge should also have the classical grand challenge aspect, as in you actually get to present your stuff with at least a
Yeah,
poster,
right.
and there's a leaderboard and blah blah blah, and so and all of this is happening beforehand.
With the grand challenge, there is a workshop that takes place before the grand challenge where you actually come and use your practice.
Okay.
By workshop, you mean an actual a co-located thing that happens in the workshop slot, or you mean a session
up to
in
us.
the? Yeah, but
In the workshop slot,
it
probably makes more
changes the
sense.
logistics dramatically.
Yeah.
Because those are fundamentally, from a proceedings point of view, from a conference setup point of view, those are two
It
different
can be a
things.
workshop that doesn't have proceedings, right? It's just an event. I don't.
No, but I mean, you're really talking about an extended conference session, right?
Yes, but that's not.
So it's kind of two sessions to the.
But the grand challenge track will have multiple grand challenges, right? So this is something
one
that
of
will
the
need.
grand
This is going to this is one of the grand challenges,
That'll
but
get
then
treated
it will be
differently to everybody else.
that will presume. Well, that's the question, right? Is the grand challenge part different to everybody else, or is it just, oh, by the way, there's this second half to the event that is not technically part of the grand challenge, but is another thing that happens interactively?
Let me turn the question around and say, let's say we get 3 grand challenges in. 2 are conventional. 1 is conversational search that requires an interactive element. We accept it, right?
Yeah.
We don't say no.
So some grand challenges,
So it's the
if you
same.
look at AC Multimedia grand challenges, there is this, well, I believe longest running one, I don't know how they call it, social media prediction or something like that. It started with is it JD.com, I don't know who sponsored it, there is even significant money involved there. And there are teams, does anybody know that one?
No.
It's pretty large at AC Multimedia and it's been running for like maybe, I will say 5 to 10 years already, and they always have 2, 3, like they have a leaderboard somehow beforehand, so it's asynchronous, but also they have different ones. One is like social media prediction, that's like something like about popularity of the media, like mostly marketing type of task, and the other one is, I don't know, something, but they clearly have separate kind of scoring mechanisms and so on and
Could
so
you
on.
check how many grand challenges there were this year?
Something in the order of 10ish.
Should be on the website.
10ish?
I mean, the typical grand challenge is asynchronous, right?
Yeah.
Where you do all the
Grand
evaluation in
challenge.
advance. and
Deep
then
fakes
just
detection.
present.
1,
Yeah,
2,
yeah.
3,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, there's a lot of grand
10ish
challenges.
plus minus, so check them.
Yeah, I think if you try to make the interactive part during the grand challenge track of the conference, it has 2 disadvantages. I think in the sense that you don't treat the challenges in the same way how you allocate the time budget. That's one thing. And the other thing is, as you said, you want to present leaderboard or results. You don't know that or just know it 5 minutes before. So if you do that in a workshop session before, then you could have these things, and maybe you do. I don't know. That's proceedings wise. This is a logistics question because you might want to update the paper.
Yes,
as well.
but then logistically, it would be 3 independent things, right? And you say, well, there is a classic entry into Grand Challenge track that just presents Grand Challenge things, whatever. There might be a non-archival workshop that happens on the day before to actually do the interactive part of the experiment. And there is a sub-session in the demo track that has the things that just opens this up to everybody. And then it fits neatly in all the categories the conference has anyway. I mean, with a bit of, but we can do that. But at least it doesn't introduce something fundamentally new. So if somebody wants to do this next year or the year after or whenever, it doesn't completely break the format.
If we want asynchronous, we need to have an associated workshop as part of the proposal.
Also for synchronous, we need a workshop then.
Sorry,
Well, it doesn't even necessarily need to be a proper workshop with separate calls and yada. It's still part of the Grand Challenge. We just essentially need to have a room booked during the workshop part of the conference, so it doesn't interfere with.
I think it, like using the word workshop is probably. We need to find another word that doesn't
I mean,
bring confusion with other workshop.
It's the interactive session.
Interactive session of
It's a challenge.
LSC is a workshop.
Yes, but LSC is
We tried to get LSC as a special session, permanent special session, and there was pushback from ACM.
But it's not a challenge. I mean, it's just a workshop.
A workshop.
Yes.
But we would need publications.
Yes, but the publications would go into the Grand Challenge part.
Okay.
The workshop doesn't need publications; just needs a room.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the only thing is if you want to update your paper after the interactive session, then the proceedings would need to come after the conference.
You're not. There's no.
With MM, not possible.
Okay.
But
There's no need to do that.
but also for the Grand. Are all the
results, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
yes.
There could be an archive paper later on.
I mean, if you know the location of the results beforehand, you could basically put it into any paper. Live results.
How about
Yeah,
this
but if you
one?
want the proceedings available at the start of the conference, that the workshop would
Can
technically
we-
happen after.
how
Yeah,
feasible
but I'm saying
is it
yes.
to actually replace those papers with upgraded versions? Talk very nicely to people.
Not needed. You know why not needed? We could do the same as you do for MMM, for example, and then after this is done, because kind of MM has this deal with Tom traditionally, we go for a Tom paper, kind of with everybody who participated as an. Okay, you don't like, but that's already Tom paper with everybody who participated as an author. Like it's gonna be paper with lots of authors, or you don't like that?
No, I think it's great. The only thing is that we are already overloaded with the other papers, right?
Okay.
We'll have the results of the asynchronous run for the paper writing.
Yeah.
So we have that. It's just the interactive element that's problematic.
I mean, what we can say is that a requirement to participate in the interactive part is to. Well, let me finish my sentence. The requirement to participate in the interactive part is to participate in the same subtasks for the non-interactive because then your stuff is going to be evaluated beforehand. And then also you can do by the way, we also do this live. And then it can still be, it's archived sometime, somehow, whatever, later.
I have one question. Do we need to make it synchronous? Couldn't we just do it asynchronously like Drag Queen always does with the ABS task? ABS, yeah. Because it can be interactive also if it is asynchronous.
Well,
we have an interactive task, for example.
I mean, we have this system that is perfectly capable of running interactive evaluations asynchronously We just never used it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is there.
Yeah.
We could even do that.
It is more interesting.
There are some. I mean, you're losing the whole visibility thing, but then you can still move this to the demo session.
Yeah.
That would be an option. So then you can essentially run the whole thing beforehand.
You get your results back.
You get your results back more or less immediately. You don't know how well you did in comparison to everybody else before everybody finishes, but you at least know how well you did. I mean, Dres can do this.
And the results will be presented at the Grand Challenge.
Yes.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
we need to run
We
a
can.
grand concept in the demo session, which is a
Yes.
fun thing.
And then it's essentially everybody who submits an interactive thing gets a free slot in the demo session if they want it.
Yeah.
People will be encouraged to do that because we can say, okay, there's going to be a best sub demo thing, whatever, for like a novice, something judged in some means to be determined, just to give people a bit of an extra encouragement to actually show up and show their thing.
Yeah.
And then it would also fit neatly into the timeline. We just need to have a Dres instance that does this and tech support and whatever, because people cannot be bothered to do the Open API correctly. But I mean, we have the technology in place to do this sort of thing. That would probably simplify this
Yeah, I think
greatly.
so.
So it's just a demo session. Fine. In the
The
interactive.
demo session, but the competition
Well,
in
the
advance.
challenge, the
yeah.
challenge session, of
Yeah.
course, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then you just have
the challenge session, the one that happens like 2 months early.
For example.
Yes,
No.
fine.
But
well,
No, at the conference.
At the conference,
well,
there's
it's
still
just
a
it's
challenge
just a
session.
regular grand challenge session
Yeah.
that presents the results and you
Yeah.
discuss
Yes, but
the
not
top
an
scoring.
actual competition that's taking place in the grand challenge
Yes.
session.
No,
That's happened in
there's
September.
there's a probably before that
Yeah.
because people will need to submit their papers. So this is
Right. Must be
some
before.
summary.
The time frame isn't great.
No, the time frame isn't great,
but what
but
you
who
could-
needs sleep, right? It's
But
there's
what you could do is like you ask for papers before describing the systems and just leave like a quarter page for results, and then people
For the
update
camera ready.
update this for the
Uh-huh.
camera ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, the standard one.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
Because that's what Trackbit also does.
Yeah.
And
You,
it's
you
not
update your scores, but then you don't see everybody else's scores
Yeah.
until such time as you're at the event, which makes it more interesting to attend.
Okay.
Can you provide like 10 sample queries?
So
and then put the
the
result in
one
and
thing that I
Yeah.
figured out from
Yeah.
that discussion is that I don't know if we can deliver that, but I really wanted things to be more interactive, engaging.
It still can be interactive. And engaging would be the demo session.
But when you say demo, so there is a demo session at the.
Yeah.
Do you want a separate demo session or within the?
no within the regular demo session. Logistics to be determined.
We have to really then synchronize with the demo chairs because
That's
lots
okay.
of demos were rejected actually this year. They rejected like 3/4 of the
Yeah, but
demos.
we can
Yes,
restrict
but
that
demos
slot.
this year was
You have
somehow.
to say, oh, pending that you are accepted as a demo.
You'll be able to look after all of
They
that.
don't need to be accepted as
No.
demo.
No, they
We
get
just
a
insert them into the
they
demo
get a
session.
free slot in the demo program, and the demo chairs will have to deal with it. Because worst case, we're just gonna give them. So I mean, the way this is currently kind of penciled in the program is that one room would be permanently set aside for demos and the interactive art during the whole thing. Worst case, we just say, well, no, one of these days, the demo chairs don't actually get to decide anything. All the demo slots are already taken up by this. And the rest of the slots are for the demo chairs to decide. Right? We can figure this out. Who are the
It
demo
might be
chairs?
good to do that anyway.
Anyway.
If we can decide that, then.
Meeting and somebody else, isn't it?
Demo chair.
You? You're
No, you're the
art.
interactive art chair.
Interactive.
But it might be anyway good to have it like a fixed time slot for that because
Yes. Yes.
also people have to be there.
I mean,
and you get more dynamics if more people are there at the
Yes.
same time.
And I mean, probably we will have a concurrent, a continuous slot for all the demos that
Yeah.
just goes through the whole program, and then just the demos rotate through. depending on how many demo submissions and whatever, right? To be determined. That room also works because there we
Is
have
that the open space?
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be the half of the big plenary.
There'll be lots of people hanging around because it's beside the bar.
Yes, and it's where we would anyway stream the overflow from the room next door and
It's a very busy
thing.
place.
Yeah, so this would work, and this would also have the best visibility, which is why
Yes.
I would also want to put the demos there, in contrast to this year where they were behind 3 rows of poster walls.
Okay.
So just one more question, just so we know that we covered everything. And the reason for not going with standard VBS/LSC format would be because we want a synchronous part as well. That's the main reason.
The main reason I think is that it's simpler in every aspect.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
And it fits very well to the format that they have in the Grand Challenge. And
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it fits the format of the Grand Challenge. We would not force people to have an interactive system. They could choose what
Yeah.
they have.
Yeah.
you want to open a bit to more CV sort of crowd and
Possibly, yeah.
And there's not so much on-site stress.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because this
Yeah.
is always a real
Because there might be 1 or 2 other things going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
this is definitely different at ACM Multimedia than it is at MMM or ICMR, which is like
Who are our
one
Grand
order
Challenge
of
chairs?
magnitude smaller.
Who are our Grand Challenge chairs?
I don't remember.
We better make sure we
Except now.
intercept them to say so they don't reject our Grand Challenge on the basis that it's too
Yeah.
I
big.
think it's been triggered, Luca.
Okay, fine.
Ah.
Okay, right. Okay, we're okay.
I think.
Understood.
I'm not so sure.
We'll
Were
do-
we?
I
Okay,
remember that.
fine.
so some corruption, high-level corruption caught on camera. Very good, very good. Very good.
No, it's not that.
No, it's called bribery. Sorry.
No, these people already understand how these challenges run, so they will actually be able to.
Yeah.
No, because Min Triet takes part in LSE and VBS. He understands. Min Sundau understands. Who's one more person?
I don't know. I think only 2.
Werner is checking, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to check.
Graham is workshop.
Just finding the webpage is not particularly mobile friendly.
No, it's
because
not. It's not on the page yet.
the
It's not.
header
These things are
covers
not on the
half of the
web page yet. We have
Ah,
a magic internal document that has all the names.
okay.
Those are not published
Oh, this
yet.
does not help.
We
No,
need a
no.
web chair. We need a web
That
chair.
makes it worse. You can't
We don't
scroll
need the web
past
chair. We
it.
just need a backend to actually publish stuff to this.
So depending on when we wanna eat, maybe
I'm happy that we've done enough. We can summarize this again tomorrow morning. Make sure everybody's on the same page.
No.
Figure out the hackathon then too.
There were more things on the agenda, but sure, whatever.
Hackathon.
hey, tell us.
What was on the agenda for today technically was figure out also all the data augmentation things which would feed into the hackathon, plus all the collections for. Now we know the set of sensors we have now. What would we want to do for any future iterations, and how would people possibly think of could this be done? This is not necessarily something that needs to be discussed now, even though it was in the agenda, but then technically it was in the agenda for this morning. So the
So
agenda,
what does
the
Castle 2
agenda,
look like?
yes.
So too.
Let's assume that Castle 1 has not been a disaster. It's been very successful. Except chicken. With the
Alright,
exception
let's
of the
over the
second
food.
fridge.
Except
Castle was
so,
pretty
so
successful.
so far the second fridge was the biggest fail.
Yes.
Um,
Would be the best
Well,
thing if we kept
I
it
realized the
outside,
brand is
outdoor.
called Hot Point, so
Outdoor has
why
it.
do we expect
No,
it to
man,
get...
This is. I feel they did not understand the assignment.
I think for Castle 2 it would be great to have less of a focus on food
Yeah.
and preparation of food and logistics of food.
But that's what
literally
brings
making
us
it
all
cool.
together.
And that's
I
what
feel like, I mean, it can certainly be an aspect. I feel like it's been exaggerated this time
a little
around.
bit too much.
It's
yeah.
perfect for the hackathon though.
Maybe just
sure.
one dinner
So
per
if you-
day.
And then
Cooking
do
once per
takeouts.
day,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
do takeouts for the rest.
I mean, ideally there would just be more people, and then
Yeah,
you
more
would
people
have
come.
fewer people in per. You would have a smaller fraction of people involved
More
in
people.
the
Bigger
whole.
house.
But then then
Right.
the cooking organization is going to be messier with
Yeah.
the shopping
No,
list.
because then you would have
With the except-
people
yeah.
who are explicitly in charge of things, which we did not have. It's, oh yeah, everybody does something, and then but the people who do the shopping and the people who actually do the cooking are not the same people, and information gets lost along the way, and nobody knows what's going
I
on.
think we did a good job, right? We had almost everything we needed. We got almost everything right.
Well,
So-
It's not
I would,
perfect.
I would, I would,
What are you saying that we should do?
I would argue the whole thing was well done, but there's a comma in there.
I would say very well. Even.
Okay, the people didn't get the joke. It's fine.
I got it.
So
Well done.
just as an example, how do we do it on a boat? Very light breakfast, in a sense, spreads.
We
cheeses
could do
and
lighter
blah, blah.
breakfast and Irish breakfast.
Then
yes.
lunch is really cooking. Evenings we always do in a restaurant. So
If we had gone to a
You
restaurant,
are aware that this is not a boat. This has different
the
boundary
challenge
conditions.
is, if we'd gone to a restaurant every night, you would have added an extra 3,000 or 4,000 euros to the cost.
yeah, no, no.
Right. We couldn't do it on
It could be
10,000.
Take out.
On our own.
On our own budget, yeah. I mean, the other logistics here is there is no restaurant nearby that's open every night.
But that's why we chose this castle, because it was so far from everything. There's nowhere to go, right?
There is another. I mean, another option is basically if it's possible to add a couple of people who do some of the cooking.
Just do the-
explicitly.
More helpers.
Just do the cooking. So that would be one
Cooking
option.
helpers.
Yes. But
Okay, but guys, also that process you'll see later on is also valuable as a data. So people do
Absolutely,
something together.
absolutely.
One
So
does
you
this, another one does that,
do
another one
not
does that.
you do
There
not
are
want.
things, you open,
The
you lift
disagreements as part of it is all part of the data set.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but the thing is that just the whole everybody does everything somehow, and nobody's responsible for anything, and nobody's in charge, and nobody knows what's going on, because
Okay,
everybody
I
does
admit,
everything.
If we had Alice here, we'd all be on time, right? Alice couldn't make it, right? We need an Alice.
Possibly, we
With
just
a clipboard going around.
we just
going,
need.
Get over there. That's what we're
Yeah.
doing.
So basically, you're saying So that's actually a point. You need a manager,
We need a manager.
essentially, who is not
Yes, taking care of the logistics, of the details, of all the goings
You
on.
need a Jennifer to organise in advance. You need an Alice to organise when we're here,
Yeah.
or equivalent.
Well, or something that floats over, right? Okay. But so that's maybe slightly less, emphasis on cooking and then some better organization. So that's a couple of points.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And what about technical aspects?
But
2
actually,
years from now, maybe the hardware could be.
This wasn't too bad, right?
yeah.
It's not
Actually,
too bad.
I
I'm
thought
quite
it would be
confident.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worked really well.
Middle of the day, my head was hurting quite a bit, but it's getting better.
But
That was something else. That was the second.
Yeah,
biggest
well, I
issue.
think the
no, but
it's
I
a bit
mean,
of a
yeah,
pressure cooker.
it's decent. It's not great, right? So
Yeah.
there.
No, and no complaints.
I've-
because-
I've-
We were stuck with what we already
exactly.
happen to have
Yeah, no.
in a closet in DCU,
Yeah.
right? We didn't have the
I think
budget.
it's a- yeah.
If ACM give us 20,000 next
Yes.
time or 30,000,
Yes.
sure, we'll do something much nicer.
Yeah.
We made it work.
Yes. Maybe just
40,000, 50,000.
Just one comment to what Björn said about the cooking. I think it's a good idea to have dedicated people cooking, but after
Not all the
thinking
time.
about it, I think it's very nice that we had here so many different dishes done by different people, and we could look up them later on. And also, it's a lot about life, right?
Yes,
Living
no,
life vlogging.
absolutely. So
Improvisations.
I would clearly vote against like the catering aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it needs, in general. I mean, we had very little in terms of an agenda, which in some aspects is good. It gives people the freedom to do this. There needs to be more agenda, like in general, right? And people behind the scenes making sure that the agenda can actually happen, because now everybody who runs around doing things is also so there's no behind the scenes
Right.
support
You need a
for
production crew.
yes, essentially, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of things, also for various setup-y things, that just takes time and resources that we did not really have this time around. So essentially, if there were the option to do this with a larger crowd of people, in a larger location, it would probably make sense to.
Are you thinking? Go back to the schedule we had from 3 months ago. We didn't implement. That was everything was half an hour blocks, and for this half an hour you're playing
Maybe
chess.
half an
with-
hour.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be half an hour blocks, but essentially really clear and strict assignments, as in, look, we have a workshop part. This is this time window. We have lunch. Lunch always happens at this time, which necessitates this time block before. And it's those people, those really know what they're gonna have, right? Everything, there's like checklists and stuff. This time is dinner.
Right.
This necessitates this.
We're not that far off it.
But basically
But it
having
did not
somebody-
really. It wasn't really implemented like this because it's. Oh yeah, but let's do this an hour later. Oh no, let's swap these two
But I
things.
still
Oh no,
think
let's do this.
That is actually okay because we
Life-
are still having
And
our
life is also
workshop.
chaotic sometimes. Right?
Yeah, but that's but this is not supposed to be
If
life.
we
This
had
is supposed to well,
No, yeah.
If we had had an Alice equivalent here with a checkbox saying, okay, you have to do cook now, it's time to cook, that would have been okay.
It's also means if you had somebody who could basically run off to the store or drive off to the
yes,
store.
some
daily-
fixers
Yeah,
essentially.
the
Look,
daily basically.
Yeah.
So what do we need for tomorrow?
Yeah. Like if one of us had
Yes.
been one of us three had been a helper, not a
Yes.
participant,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was fine.
It's not
Or you
much
can learn how
of,
to drive.
but it's really there is somebody who's not part of the experiment who is running the show.
So
I
we need a
think that's
manager.
kind of the
right? We
main
need a
thing.
manager.
I think this
We
is.
don't need managers. We need normal people. Alice.
Yeah. No, yeah. We need somebody normal to
no,
manage.
essentially it needs a production crew. It needs a director behind the
Right.
scenes who's actually on top of everything that's happening.
And that basically has authority over the participants.
Yes.
Yes. I think that's kind of the when you're taking part in experiments and having authority, it's a problem.
And also if there's no clear schedule, it is also difficult to coordinate things because then it's I need to take care of my email. I might as well do this now because nothing's going on.
Right.
And then people disappear at random points in time because there's no coordination between them. And also if you say, well now we could do this, and then but 3 people are missing. Okay, now then we can't. And then
Right.
it just spirals, right?
We have to, if that's the case, we have to release a schedule well in advance. So
Yes.
I don't. Vern had to go off for a meeting this morning
Yeah.
about 10 o'clock.
Right.
That we have to know that can only happen at 11.
Yeah.
Right?
But a person who has control of things, basically there's going to be fairly minor things that come up. You have this extra meeting that wasn't really scheduled. You have one more meeting, and there's and somebody can basically adjust this, and then the day before
Release a printout.
here's a new
We need a
schedule for
printer.
tomorrow.
We need a printer. I know. I thought about buying a printer.
Or need an information screen. That's alternatively.
Okay,
That's a good.
An iPad to display.
So-
But I think the key is to separate, out whoever is running the show, the producer, right, from the participant.
Yes.
And
People, we did
So-
most of the things we were
so-
supposed to do, no?
I think we did really well.
so we
We can
should
make it
make
better.
very clear that the helpers have been excellent.
Yes.
So this is not a judgment on that.
I'm just like saying I expected a major disaster in all aspects, apart from an occasional camera failure that happened to some people we don't want to name. There were no major disasters.
We were inevitably not going to get this fully right the first time.
No.
I think
Yeah.
nobody has run away.
Literally, there was positive atmosphere all the time.
There was,
People
it was good
that,
fun, right?
You know, these social experiments you've probably seen on YouTube going wrong.
And part of the challenge was figuring out
Yeah.
how to do this better next time.
But I think this is a really good lesson. I agree with Luca on this part. I think that would make it more productive.
More people, bigger castle, and a manager.
So
But you know
Yeah.
what?
That well,
This can
that-
be
I'm not
also-
sure about the more people as part of the experiment.
Yeah.
Really,
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe 12 rather than 10.
Yeah. But
No, because you get more options with groups of 3 and
Yeah.
4.
Yes,
You
I
have
mean,
10,
also
12
in-
people.
But if it gets much larger, it
Yeah,
also adds
exactly.
more challenges.
The only-
Yeah, sure.
The only reason why, can I add one point in, why we didn't have more helpers was because there's a training week on for some of our
Sure.
PhD students from the group who couldn't come.
Sure.
And Robin couldn't come because she moved house last week. And Leeting
Cases.
isn't back.
Right.
And it was,
And thesis.
Thesis. Two people handing up their thesis this week.
Yes.
This
Yeah,
was
yeah,
why
yeah.
we
No,
missed.
yeah. Understood.
We actually
Understood.
wanted 4 helpers,
Yeah, understood.
and we bought a
Yeah.
we rented a house.
Yes.
So
But in any case, the role that you're describing would have been missing.
yeah. Always yes.
Yes. So, and I agree that this is kind of a key
We need
Yes,
aspect of
yes,
this.
and I mean this is
a
this is
coordinator,
yes,
Coordinator.
on-site coordinator.
yes.
And somebody who basically has authority over the experiment, right?
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
it's like having a-
who sets the agenda? Who
Like,
says
yeah,
no? Now
yes.
you do
It's a
the
very similar problem in sports when you have a player coach, somebody who's playing on the field, they cannot manage. They need somebody on the sideline to run the show. It's impossible to manage on the field.
Coach.
Yes.
So-
But even if you're a coach, you can run the sessions before, but you need somebody
Yeah,
live.
I know.
yes. But I mean essentially, yeah. I guess this whole thing was much more ad hoc than it ideally would have been, which is fine. It was built with much less budget than it has any right to work with. For which yeah. So far so good, right? So all of this, yes, absolutely. But I mean, it's very much the. I mean, also more people, also more activities. More activities in a sense of. Yeah, we kind of try to make it work by, what can we get? Oh, we can get a few things to put stuff together. Oh, and we can get painting supplies, right? It was literally like that. It's not a
Yeah, it's more planning as well. More
top down, thought out. It's really more of can we throw more activities at the thing to make it more interesting, to make it more
We should have
diverse.
a laptop of copyright-free movies.
Right.
We thought about it, we got some, but we never set it up.
Right.
So there's lots of things
Same
to
thing
fix.
with music.
Music.
I guess. So,
Maybe,
like
maybe
kind of music
longer
room.
activities as well, because most of these activities can be done
Yes.
like in 5
Yes.
minutes.
Also, I mean, the weather was mostly not cooperating, so there wasn't a lot of chance to do outdoorsy things.
Yeah.
This is just well.
But a house next time with a bigger garden that we can actually do things outside with.
A treadmill to exercise so that people can be sane.
Sanity is overrated.
The reason why we're here is because this was the only house we could afford.
Yeah.
We'll fix that part.
I could have got you a castle, you'd have all had to pay for your own flights and everything else, right?
That's
So
fine.
it's different, right?
Yeah.
We will have spent over 10,000
Yeah,
euros on this.
despite all the things that you mentioned, I think
Yeah,
you went
yeah.
incredibly well.
Yes.
so far.
So far so good,
amazing
right?
to
I mean,
learn,
it's not nothing is on fire.
Like nothing nobody in our community has tried to do this before.
There might have been a reason.
I've seen this in ubiquitous computing 10 years ago when they put some cameras up in a house and people went in and did some ADLs, right, for a weekend. This is far in excess of what that was.
Speaking of food, I think I have to go to.
Well, yeah. I checked the potatoes earlier. They were still rock solid, so
What
they
brings your
might
step count?
might take a bit. But this is one aspect. The other aspect was we have the sensors we could get on short notice, mostly because you happen to have them lying around. This again, it worked. So far so good. We ran into some minor technical issues for various weird reasons. But this is certainly not the best setup to do this sort of thing, right? So I guess and this is not necessarily something we absolutely need to collect now, but maybe something to think about. Assuming infinite time and infinite budget, what would be the thing we actually wanted to do?
Right.
Because then we can go down from what of this is actually feasible to do.
Yeah. And I mean, so there's a question: what if the price of admission, let's say, had been to buy some kind of equipment? So everything is paid for except you need to bring your own set of goggles or whatever, right? Would people run into trouble with this?
Could be there.
Okay,
You
then
have to check how you like them.
Yeah, I
if
don't
they're
know that.
semi boiled,
Also, there's a different
well, it's
attitude
probably
if you
fine.
bought your own equipment
Come.
than
No,
if
it's
you
probably
didn't,
fine, right?
I don't
As
wanna do that type
Shall I
of
then
thing.
tell
yes,
you what you
yes,
want?
yes. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Somehow it's a community
Dump it
of
out.
people.
Then
Right.
they need to
And here
cool down a bit.
everybody trusts everybody in this room.
Yeah.
And that's even
Right.
fundamentally what we need to have to get this to work.
Right.
But if it was a €500 entrance fee and you get to keep your hardware afterwards, I wouldn't have any problem doing that.
No.
Yeah, probably.
And I think probably it's easier than like paying for like the travel, because it's easier to squeeze in some
Yes.
hardware budget somewhere than
You can convince that is needed for some other project.
than having
yes.
like official requests
Yes,
for
yes.
travel and
Yeah,
things
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So
No, it's just
If there
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a thing
well,
out there you can buy.
yeah.
If it's
No,
we
yeah.
need to MacGyver it ourselves, then it might be much more.
That's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
we're going to
yeah.
get at the moment.
You're right. Yeah, no,
Nothing
that,
else
it's just
better
something to
than
keep in mind,
Yeah.
so that if there is something that we desire,
Like, look at the challenges we had with this.
Yeah.
Battery life. We went through numerous different options for batteries. I have 36 GoPro batteries in DCU. Right, we bought double of everything. Right.
Right.
More. We even tried
You want me to
double A battery packs wired through a voltage regulator
maybe.
directly into it
To cool them
That
down a
didn't
bit,
work,
yes.
Right. We had to go with this approach. Then they were overheating. We even tried fans inside. There was a huge amount of effort to get to what actually you're wearing right now, which
Right,
actually
right.
works. So even if we did this again in 18 months' time, there's probably nothing better than this still that we can actually do.
now there's only I said to Luca already a very small thing which would be like a belt clip for the power pack, which is probably
Told you.
more convenient.
They were cheap.
Yeah,
Or €5
true, but
each.
a belt clip is probably not so expensive either.
You're also not using like just
Pocket.
Well, look, we'll collate after we get
I
back.
have
Yeah.
space in my pocket.
But I mean, this is still assuming, right? This needs to be done on short-ish notice with off-the-shelf hardware.
Yeah.
So, assuming this was not a requirement.
I mean, throwing in another thought. I mean, it's of course putting another angle to the data set, but it could also be interesting to just give everyone a different type of device. So you would have like a heterogeneous data set. It causes other problems, but it could also provide another.
I'm already getting dizzy on the thought.
But it could also be interesting to see what you can get out of different
Brain
types of
sensors.
devices.
You have to shave your head before coming.
BCI is actually on the list.
Yes.
BCI is definitely on the list.
We could do portable BCIs. Yeah, no problem.
Well,
Expensive.
no problem is well. There's a whole cascade of problems, but we could probably make it work.
We could put a BCI cap on everybody in the morning time. Now,
Not
your
with the
air
time
back
budget we
really
had to prepare
smelly.
this, but it's
We need Graham Healy's equivalents, right? To
no.
set-
We just need Graham to actually come. But he was not available this week. Otherwise, he would have been here.
Causing trouble.
Possibly, yes.
Sneaking out for pints.
Why
I would love.
is
eye
this
tracking.
slander already, or
It's Graham. It's Graham.
he'll not?
Eye tracking on the glasses would be very nice.
Eye tracking would be very nice. Yes. That would be awesome.
What is actually the eye tracking experiment? I still don't understand
Just
the
a
purpose.
That was the
reading
reason.
experience.
Just gathering data for a reading task.
But what,
There's a demo at ACM
what
Multimedia.
is the
later.
research question?
For the eye tracking,
There's
what's
not
the
really a
research
big
question?
research question here. We had to use it because we brought the hardware to here.
Ah, okay.
You know what's also cool? I heard from our forensics friends what I kind of like these days is from data to activities. So basically, which kind of activities could you reconstruct from the sensors, like mobile, if you have it in a back pocket, in a backpack, in a front pocket, can you reconstruct the activity based on
I
it?
mean, that's basically what you can do with the Fitbit, right?
Yeah, but most people in criminal cases don't wear Fitbits, you know, like
Yeah.
most people have a mobile somewhere,
Yeah.
like in a backpack, in a,
Yeah.
which kind of activity can I
We could
recognize?
have provided everybody with a cheap Android phone
Yeah.
and running sensors.
Yeah.
next time. It's another thing for our helpers to keep charge, but yeah, you can do that.
Well, you will get an IMU stream. I hope.
Basically, we could because now one of the few sources of funding that's going to remain is going to be the security fundings. So that's another thing to think about if we kind of make ourselves relevant to them.
Right.
So what do
Being
we say
relevant
to
this, yeah.
somebody who says, I'd like to run this experiment myself?
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Does anybody think we shouldn't have done it?
No.
No, I think it's great. I would do it again.
I will do it again, absolutely. We will
still
do it
have one
again.
more
I'm assuming that we will end up doing this again at some point, 18 months or 24 months down the line. Somewhere. It doesn't have to be here, it can be anywhere. Klagenfurt.
I'd prefer 18 over 24 because that would land it in summertime.
That
Or
doubles the
20
price.
or 30.
Doubles the price of.
Or 30.
Like
Or 30, right? Yeah, also fine.
this is 3,000 euros for the week. It's 5,000 or 6,000 in the summertime.
Right.
But it gives you the outdoors,
It does give me the interest. Look,
which are
next time
much
we go back to
larger.
ACM, we're asking for 20, 25,000.
Ask for more. They're gonna scope it down
Yeah,
anyway.
we asked for 35. We got 10 or something.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But I mean, there is a chance, I would say, that this is, if this is successful, then it's
We certainly have the right to go
possible to
back and
get
ask
a
for more.
higher
Yeah.
grant next time.
Yes.
So I would
Like,
say.
I think we've done a lot with 10,000. So more.
Because then you can be fairly concrete about what those extra funding would buy you compared to what you would have now.
Yeah.
I think that's, for example, better weather.
Is-
That's gotta be
is-
worth.
is-
That's gotta be worth a few
Is
$1,000.
quite expensive to
make it-
purchase.
Yeah, I know.
then
But I mean, but
make it a
that buys you
joint-
other activities, right?
You
So-
make it a joint geoengineering project.
yeah. No, I mean you can at least buy the odds of better weather, right?
That for sure.
Yes. So timing, location combined to that.
Davos.
What about some device?
Klagenfurt.
Less.
People
in summer.
can manually
Would be
Yeah, I
pretty.
said if you want
Or
something
a
like
Victor.
or
here,
they moved or something like that. Oh,
Yeah,
some
not for better weather.
Manual move or something.
Oh,
Yes,
just
yes,
some
yes.
ground truth or
that's what I said. If
anything.
you want a setting
But-
like here where it's secluded,
I
we
know,
could go
like-
to some hub.
With
in
a
the
director, we
Alps.
can do
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I mean, what you could also have is a thing that you have everybody gets a phone or
Yeah,
some touchscreen enabled device. There's an application running on this
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
lets you log things
Mostly.
that maybe even prompt you from time to time for things.
It gives you a web browser for looking things
No,
up.
just
that's
saying.
not high.
Yeah.
With,
That's
with
so that people can do
organize something.
more things as
Here
well.
is
Oh,
the
yeah,
stuff.
But for one
So
slope,
people
they
kind of
helmet
wondering,
is
aha,
required.
what is it you
But
do
I
did not
or-
know.
okay. I think we are going to hear at the conference a lot about, hey guys, you could have done this. Hey,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we got a
People we
lot of
have a lot.
You could have done it. Why didn't you do it that way?
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay.
Right?
Very good.
Anything on that?
Did we
agenda that you
answer
still
your
want?
question, Luca?
Yeah.
More or less.
More or less.
So what's
How
up?
big has to
We
make
still have
a-
one more workshop tomorrow
Yeah.
to revise everything,
What time
understand
do we
everything,
do it?
and
Okay,
talk
have to make
about
that
the.
Rusty.
Talk
Is
about
there a task for somebody to summarize the discussion now?
We need to
For
write a
tomorrow?
SIGMM records paper.
We do need to write Sigma.
Yeah.
I can summarize it now for tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
So just take.
I'll be a very quick summary tomorrow morning. Yes.
So what
Yeah.
Alex's question I think was important in the spirit of what Luca said. What time tomorrow?
What time for breakfast and then?
Breakfast at 9.
Okay.
Workshop at 10.
Okay.
Hmm?
No.
Yes, but for real this time.
Oh no lunch. Cause lunch.
No, lunch
Ever-
lasagna.
Why make lunch?
Breakfast at 8.
No, breakfast.
Okay,
It's not.
light breakfast at 9 that doesn't require any cooking because we don't have anything left to cook.
Yeah.
We
Plenty of cheese.
we have a lot of stuff.
We have
Cheese
butter.
board.
Now.
No.
We have
Yeah.
cornflakes.
Cornflakes,
We have
toast.
oats for those.
We
who
also
want to
have, like,
sell-
Christmas pudding or whatever this is, and
Right.
Christmas
cakey
pudding.
things, and
How about everyone has their
but
own
second hour
breakfast
is-
in
is
any place
oven,
and
right?
be
Yeah,
here
everybody
at
make your
night
own
for
breakfast
workshop.
tomorrow.
So the
Nine
work,
workshop.
the lasagna, basically the second hour of preparation is inside the oven.
Okay.
So
why don't we do
that's
the
workshop
workshop
time.
at that point?
Yeah.
so
exactly.
I guess originally the idea was to prepare the lasagna today, and then tomorrow you could
No,
just
but
put
I
it
switched
into the
it
oven.
here.
But
Yeah.
this is
But we can basically, I mean, can it be prepared in parallel to breakfast?
So I think we're doing the workshop
Maybe
at
not.
noon tomorrow.
Immediately after breakfast.
I would also like to have
1 to
breakfast that then I
22.
can do. Yes.
No,
Immediately
just
after
today,
breakfast.
two-
And we just throw a
two-
bunch of
two-
people at
two-
it. We finish it in half
Okay,
an
so
hour.
to
Well, that's a
noon
pasta
to
cooking with.
I can have tomorrow.
Not convinced
Yeah,
about
for
the.
breakfast.
That would be helpful.
Like a no breakfast and a brunch, which is lasagna.
Yeah.
And somebody wants to get food at
Oh my God.
9 o'clock, there's plenty of food in there.
That is an alternative. Yes.
There's the pressure on me. On the
So
morning
we have
already.
brunch at 11, right, followed by the workshop.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense when we go early already to the salmon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
salmon-
then we
salmon's
start
at
preparing
3:30.
the lasagna maybe already
Lunch
at
at
8.
11 sounds
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
reasonable.
That's fine. And we can snack while you're doing this.
Yeah.
And we can have some
Eat
cornflakes or
uncooked pasta and.
or whatever we decide we want to do, right?
Yeah.
And then we have a breakfast followed by a salmon followed by steaks. And then we're back not too late tomorrow night because someone like Klaus has to leave at 5 a.m.
Yeah. Right.
Well, we'll see tomorrow what the weather forecast says. If it says.
Oh, the weather
roads-
forecast is what I read earlier on.
Yeah, I mean.
110 kilometre per
Yeah.
hour winds,
Yeah.
sea breaching the
Can you
coast,
change your
flooding,
flight?
Oh, really?
disaster,
No.
storm Daniel, whatever it's called.
That's Friday or
Friday and Saturday.
Friday
and Saturday. Okay.
So, you have an idea if there's
Cliffs
a
of
risk
Moher, not so much.
Closed, orange level weather warnings.
Okay.
So you think
How will it is?
that flights will be delayed or cancelled?
No, that's in the west, not the east.
Okay.
How will it is?
Hovel.
Yes.
We can all go to the hovel, no problem. There's no toilet there, but that's okay. It's a hovel. after
There's
all.
lots of trees.
Lots of trees.
Yes.
Excellent.
But they're
And
outside
paper here,
in the
so-
storm.
Yeah. But then you know,
Those trees-
any traces of whatever you do will
those
disappear
trees
very
have-
quickly.
look where someone else is compared to the direction.
So don't stay downwind for sure.
So you're probably not doing the cliff.
How will it is?
Hey!
How will it
You're-
is?
Are you still doing the cliff?
No,
let's see
it's gonna
on-
be impossible, basically.
Let's see on Saturday morning what it's
Yeah,
really like.
it's like
They do tend to overestimate the danger.
the way
I mean,
if that
orange
is
in Dublin is
if
nothing,
that is
but I don't
reality,
know
then
about
it's
here.
impossible.
Huh?
Orange in Dublin is nothing, but I don't know about here.
I think it hits
No,
here first.
here orange is a proper weather, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, let's make a decision on Saturday morning. We
City
have breakfast.
city weather is always much milder than.
But it's clouds that
proper
have to
coast
be
weather.
a bit more cautious in driving for the first hour and a half.
No,
Once you get to
no
Galway,
worries.
you're fine. You're on the motorway.
Yeah, on the main roads. Yes.
I
I
thought
have the
you would
GPS
be
ready
driving.
because
You decide,
if
yeah,
there's
but
ever
Well,
an
you gotta
incident
go.
on the M50
Yeah.
around Dublin,
I think I can
he's not
go
getting to
see.
the
So
airport.
you might also pre-download the local map, the GPS. on-
There will be points on the
Google Maps.
M50 where you can get off the motorway and still get to the airport.
Yeah, but if you pre-download the local map, then you basically even if you run you're not well connected.
Check the camera, okay.
Okay, there are much more. Okay. Oh, but that's.
Children, so that you can do something with them. Little paper is I'm using it.
Um, Florian, hast du mir helfen Rösti-Raffeln?
Kann ich gerne machen.
Das war super. Ja, ich auch. Ich auch.
Gut, den kann ich kaufen.
Nein, ich gang sowieso, ja.